Hey guys, welcome to the Winning Move podcast. We got a badass guest on today. I met Ian like 2 weeks ago at the Storage Rebellion Mastermind. Before we do a massive intro, some quick housekeeping things. Please go to callmagicians.com if you're looking for any type of outsourced staff in any industry. They will take care of you. Thank you so much for coming on, Ian. Give us a quick recap of your accomplishments, man.
Well, the accomplishment is I made it on this podcast, so that's a massive win. But long story short, I got involved in real estate 2013 due to my W-2 job kind of getting in the way a little bit, and I wound up acquiring over the past few years. We've done a bunch of flips. We have about 100 single-family units, 100 multifamily doors across a few properties. And we've recently got involved in self-storage and industrial and office space. So we're running the whole gamut on real estate as the asset class as a whole. So,
bro, so tell me, what in the world got you into? Because bro, you own 200 units and you're a fireman. So like, when did it fucking click? Like, oh yeah, I guess I'm just gonna throw down, buy some houses.
Well, you're throwing down right on this interview right from the get-go. But dude, so the way it went down is, for those that, obviously I'm new to your audience, but for those you don't know, I'm a fireman full-time for the city of Baltimore, me and my business partner. We got hired in 07 and 08 respectively. You take a government job, especially this job, because you love it, right? Like, that's the whole thing. We love what we do. And so we get hired 07, 08 respectively. I mean, everyone knows what happened then. By the end of that year, we were getting government workers getting furloughed who saved people's lives, changing our benefits, changing our retirement, changing our schedule. All kinds of crazy stuff was going on. And our schedule at the time afforded us to work two 10-hour days, 2 14-hour nights. Well, all of us were like, well, we're not making that much money. Dude, we were all doing like landscaping and construction work and just like working with our hands rather than, like utilizing our minds and our, what's a more powerful asset. And one day, dude, I think I worked my 2 day works. I worked before both my night works. I had to ride the medic. I could barely stay awake. Then the next 4 days I worked, like, I didn't see my wife, and I was like, yo, this is insane. I got to find a better way. And I was like, how can I make money while I'm asleep? That's literally what it came down to. And I came across real estate and rental real estate, and that's how we landed here. So
what does your portfolio look like?
So when we first got started, we got involved in subsidized housing, renting single family units to market rate tenants or Section 8 vouchers.
Okay.
Is what we got real good. That was our hyper niche market. So we have about 100 single family units. 50 we own ourselves, and another 50 we have a partner on. We also have a 76 unit apartment building. We just recently added 10 units to our portfolio out in West Virginia of 44 multifamily units across 4 different properties. And then actually 2021 is a really good year. We wound up buying an 80,000 square foot office building that we're currently redeveloping. And then we have involvement in approximately 6 or 7 storage facilities across the United States. So it's been an interesting ride.
Right. And you still work full time as a firefighter.
Yeah, but there you go. There it is, right? Like, Scott Spear hit it on the head. Like, dude, we don't have much time on this earth. Like, let's just rock and roll. And, we're still firemen full time. So, like, I don't know if you guys can tell, I look a little tired. I got my coffee here, but so we work. So now our schedule is a little bit different. When I was saying our schedule has changed, it was actually for the benefit, right? Like, so we work 24 hours on, 24 hours off, 24 hours on, 5 days off. And like, when we're there, we get a lot of free time. And why do I still work? It's hard to explain. Strat and me and you spent how many hours out at the fire ring the other week trying to figure this out, dude? Like,
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I really think it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it fulfills like what I need to give back. I don't know. I just love the job. I can't explain it to anybody unless you're involved in it. But like, you can do all the drugs in the world. I can't replace that adrenaline rush, man. Like, it's fun hanging out with the guys. We talked a lot about me and you, I mean, actually, I'd love to talk to you more about it here live because I'm an open book. But like we talked about, like just the locker room banner and like having interaction with human beings and like everything that's going on right now. I think that's where I get a lot of human interaction that keeps me coming back and it keeps me growing as a person. Is it a level of maturity that some people would be on? No, but it still gives me an outlet, right? Like I hear you laugh, and you know what I'm talking about.
Let's talk about that, bro. Because I mean, you get pressed, right? You come in, you're killing it, and everybody's on your fucking head. Like, you better quit your fucking job, son. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it would be I love the locker room aspect of it. From what I understand, like you wouldn't want to leave that because you won't ever get an environment like that again. Even if you are you get it at a mastermind once a quarter. Besides that, you're fucking putting your face in the ground and going. Right? Like, you're not having the bullshit interactions that are really hard to let go of. And then I'm like, what would you replace it with? Like, if you don't want to work more, your wife is for sure not going to let you work more, is what we talked about, right? Like, you can't justify working even more once you quit. So like, where's that time even going to go?
Right. Well, I think that maybe that's like that scary notion, and that I agree. I watched your recap on the event, and there was a lot of takeaways, and it's funny how like when you're in that moment, you're like no, 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 and then you look back at it, you're like, well, maybe I could adopt some of these things, but part of it's momentum. I don't know if anyone's watched our show recently, Real Estate Reserve podcast. Like me and Jason were talking about it, just momentum in general. Like if you have this ball rolling, like why would you stop it? And to stay in that, like, why don't leave the firehouse? It's like sometimes you need an outlet that you just can't explain to other people. Some people go golfing. Unfortunately, some people drink and do drugs. Some people smoke cigars. Some people exercise, whatever it is. Like, this is my outlet. And yeah, I take it a lot because I do wear my heart on my sleeve, and like, I don't mind putting my business out there. But in the end, dude, like if it works for you, let it work. Like if you're not, as long as your family life's good, I personally vote that go out and do what you want. If your family and your business life's good and you can take on more things, then so be it. But at some point something's going to suffer, and I think that's where sometimes I struggle with, like, maybe I should just quit because it would give me two more free. Like I was laying in bed last night at 3 a.m. after we just got back from a car accident that we had to cut some lady out of. I'm thinking, holy shit, like all these things I got to do tomorrow. I'm going to be tired. I need to look good for Stratton's podcast. Like I'm going to look beat, but like seriously, that's the thing, is that like sometimes like those things start to come up on you. You're like, all right, I need to either A, slow it down, or B, I really need to make a major lifestyle shift. And I think that's where some of that stuff starts to resonate with me. And me and you talked about it. Like, let's talk about the jet, man. Like, why don't you just go out there and kill it and get the jet? Like, what's wrong with that? So
I had a conversation with my friend on my show yesterday to where he worked in 9 to 5 and built up a 200 unit portfolio. And he was like, why do you think you need more than $20,000? Like, because it's ego and I want more than $20,000. Like, I want a jet and I want to know what it feels like. Nothing more, nothing less. Right. And I'm self-aware enough to know where my family's at so I don't ruin everything as I'm building it. It's something I feel like I'm cognizant about.
Right. And I think that was the strongest takeaway. I mean, we had a ton of liquid encouragement by the end of the conversation, and we were all on the same page. But in the end, it was really crazy to think, like, me, you, and Brent, who's like completely in the life and air game, that we all had 3 different viewpoints. But in the end, we all agreed of like, if you want to kill it, go kill it. If your business partner, your wife, your family, they're all on board and you're not compromising any of that, why can't you go kill it? I agree. Let that ego ride, and I think that's where a lot of people get momentum from, and create where they want to go is their ego. But it's also good to go to some of these events and get your dick kicked in and be like, hey man, like I don't, do I need this ego? Right. So, yeah, man, it was interesting, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm glad we got to share that conversation. So
do you think, so then my next thought goes to, and I don't know like what your long-term game is, right? I'm like, well, bro, if you quit the firehouse and then let's say like you create a perfect world to where you find some way to include the banter and like that locker room vibe in one type of way or another, how much more would you throw down in the real estate game to where you'd be building something that'd be insane because you don't have any of the, I think the energy thing is a double-edged sword. I think you get an immense amount of energy by being with those guys, but then you have the back end of, right, like, bro, I'm getting home at fucking 3 a.m. but I do think you get a lot of emotional energy just from being there.
Yeah. Well, it's a two-way thing, right? Like I give a lot to get a lot. And what would I build? Like, where would I go? Like, I think that's the most powerful thing about real estate. And I don't know if your audience is new or experienced investors. And I think most, no matter what, would say we have an advantage over everybody, right? Like we have this cog, we have this machine that we can all invest our capital. So if I did, let's just say I did quit my W-2 job, whether you're a fireman or you're an office worker, it doesn't matter. Let's say you quit and you wanted to go enjoy family time. You got to remember, you still always have this machine to put capital into to generate you income. And I think that's what we all kind of lose sight of, right? Like, we're all like, oh, we're just doing deals to do deals. No, like I'm doing deals to increase my passive income. Like I just got my quarterly distributions for my investments that I make inside of my company above and beyond what we normally do. And I'm like, wow, man, that stuff's starting to get powerful. Like you're like, wow, like you start to see your money work for you. And when we all start, we're all in that grinder mindset. And then as you start to evolve, you have family, you have kids, you have whatever responsibilities. That's when I think people start to see the advantage of utilizing your investment vehicle, your money, whatever it may be. Like you have an investment vehicle through your call center, right? Like you can generate leads. Like I think it was very clear at that mastermind of how you could utilize your machine to leverage yourself into this industry or this part of this industry and help yourself grow. So, but yeah, man, that's the best part about real estate or any business in general. How can you utilize that to leverage your business to help you continue to grow? And what are you going to grow into? And honestly, that's a hard question to answer, man, because like, what is too much? I don't know, but we're going to find out. I'm sure the universe will tell us if it's too much or too little, right? So,
and then this is one thing that I feel like nobody wants to talk about. I'm like, I can only spend so much time with my kid. Right. At a point in time, like I can only play Legos and do stuff so long before I'm going to bash my head up against a wall because I feel like I need to go work. And the people who I know who are successful, it's like they can't stop doing things. Right. To where like you feel like you're not doing anything. And like, I'll take my son with me, but I can only do these activities so much. And I don't think anybody really acknowledges that. Or maybe some people can. That's just not me. I don't know about you. Yeah.
And so I'll comment something similar to that. So last year I was really miserable at work, and people could say, how are you miserable at work? But this stuff adds up. And I was really miserable. Corona was going on. I was like, I got to do something. So I rented a house at the Jersey Shore, close to where we live. And I went there for the whole month of September thinking, this is the life, right? Like I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to do this for a whole month. Like, let's see where this goes. And I'll tell you what, by the third week, I love my family. I love my kids. I enjoyed every second that we had there. But by that third week, I wasn't exercising my brain on a daily basis. And I was like, what are we doing here? Like, I got to go, like I got to go do something. I need to dedicate this time to myself to help me grow and help my mind grow. And if you're not growing, you're dead, right? Like if you're not utilizing your brain on a daily basis, you're dead. And I think that's where me and you are both saying the same thing, is that like, yeah, sure, more family time's cool, but at some point you need to have that degree of separation and have personal space and allow your mind to grow personally and exercise that,
And just have me time, right? I go to take a shit so I can run away from my 3-year-old.
Yeah, man. Thank God for Facebook, Instagram, and everything else to keep me in there for an extra 20 minutes. So. Yeah, man. I'm going to roll out of here. I'm not the healthiest guy in the world, but I'm going to go hit the gym. And sure, it's an hour, but it's an hour with me and my business partner and our trainer. And it's a place for me to go talk some crap, right? If you can't tell, that's kind of my go-to. Go talk some shit, pull some weights, lift some weights, whatever we're going to do. And I might not have the best, like today, I know I'm not going to have the best bench just because I'm beat. But I'm going there to exercise my brain and interact with people because that's what makes me tick. And that's why I enjoy it. My business partner enjoys the goals of trying to get to that next level. Like he just benched 315. He wants to get to that next level. It's like, yo, dude, that's impressive. But that's why he goes there, for that mental challenge to continue to grow, and that's how you can utilize more free time. So
when did you realize what makes you tick?
I would say over this past 2 years is really where it started to expand as we started to do more deals, raising more capital, getting involved in more deals, and just working with people that's my strong suit. My business partner and I, we have a very unique relationship that he's much more operator type, likes to be in the books, likes to keep the things. He's an executor. I'm not. I'm more of a, hey, let's grow. And we work off each other really well because I'm like, yo, dude, like, chill, or like, I want to go. And he's like, no, dude, like, chill.
And that's what figure it out first.
Yeah. So, and if you know what makes you tick or what doesn't make you tick, you can build people around you, whether it's a business partner, it's hiring employees, whatever it may be. Like, I know I got to be very careful. My project manager yells at me all the time. If I interact with our contractors, I'm always like, yeah, cool, this looks good, whatever you're doing. But like, hey, we got these next deals coming up. And then they start asking him, he's like, hey man, like, you got these other deals coming up. When am I going to start them? And he's like, no, I just want you to finish one project, right? Like, so I know what makes me tick. And sometimes it's probably your strongest suit, and most people it's their weakest suit. You got to be very cognizant of what you're doing. And I will give you guys a little point. If you haven't done it, go Google Tony Robbins, type in DISC, D-I-S-C, find out what your personality is, and that'll help you probably figure out how you think or how you interact with people.
Are you a high D?
Yeah, D&I, if you can't tell. Yeah. I mean, I think most entrepreneurs have a lot of D inside of them to make decisions, right? Like, or none of us would be here. And then the question is, are you the executor? Are you the C or I guess more the S? Or are you like me, the sales guy that's all I, like, I just got to go, and I'm all over the place. And I think a lot of sales type entrepreneurs are usually lever in the D and I, and a lot of your executors are more the D and the S's, and then C's are usually just cautious type. They're usually more assistant type. So it's a great. I guess obviously you took it. What do you? Where do you fall?
I'm D and I.
Yeah, that's why me and you were on this show, right?
To where it's I don't know. I can't get it to stop, right? To where there's always something going on to where I'm working on getting more present, but then like still you're at a point in time, you just start thinking about like money goggles, right? And like, oh wow, I wonder how much money that would make if I just did that instead. Like,
right.
They run that pretty shitty. Like what would we do if we did that? Right. To where it never stops. Did you read any books to make yourself like to get there?
I don't know what the hell I did. I was honestly out of my mind, right? Like, but I think that's, a lot of it comes from need, right? Like I was, I guess I was about 30. And I was like, my wife wants kids. I don't want her to have to drop the kid off at daycare and go, have to have her go work all day. I was like, I need to figure this out. So a lot of it was, I was just out of my mind and I wanted to just protect from that one thing. But like along the way, reading books, dude, like, sure, I've read them. I enjoyed we talk about it a lot. Warren Buffett's Snowball Effect, like that was a good one. Just like a little bit today is a lot tomorrow, and I don't think many people realize investing in today how big that extrapolates into tomorrow. Sales books, like I love Pitch Anything from Aaron Clef. Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort's book is awesome if you're into the sales game. And then honestly, dude, like I've got slowed down on books, and I've been really big into podcasts is where I get a lot from, and I learn a lot from other people's stories. Like a good book I read was Nike Slumdog. What is that?
Shoe Dog.
Shoe Dog is a good one. But I like the flip side of that, the podcasts that relate right back to that of how I built this. It's my favorite podcast.
It's a really good one.
Because it's big business people, how they went from 0 to 100, and it's just funny to see, man. Like, how many times you feel alone out here? Like, that's something I would ask you. Like, how many times do we all feel alone here? But then hear those people think, like, how am I going to get my next round of funding? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? They're selling something. We're all trying to buy something. And that's really the only difference, right? Like, we're trying to build a real estate portfolio. They're trying to sell you the next greatest lunch or meal or whatever the heck they're selling, right? Like, and it's really interesting to see that all entrepreneurs go down this same similar path, if you ask me. So
how often, bro, I feel like I'm lonely all the time. As far like, I like doing the podcast because it gives me something, like I can talk to someone and they know the fucking issues I'm going through.
Yep.
And but yeah, bro, I mean, there's no one really who gets it. right? That's why we go to mastermind, so we can be surrounded by people who are in it and they get it, and you have your friends around you. But yeah, I'd say that's any entrepreneur you talk to is going to tell you that they're lonely in some aspect of it.
Yeah, well, and there's a guy that commented on here a couple of days ago when you posted this. He was at the mastermind. We talked about it a lot. He's like, "Yo, dude, I'm bored. Like, I quit my W-2." He's like, "I thought it's what I wanted, but I'm bored. Like, what do I do? Like, I'm watching Wheel of Fortune." I'm like, "I hear you, man." And then I was like, "Well, why don't you grow anymore? Like, why don't you do more deals? Like, why don't you do something that excites you?" And he's like, "Well, it's money or whatever." And what I was going to say is, like, you talk about like talking to other entrepreneurs. I like to talk to other entrepreneurs. How can we do business together, right? Like, that's why we all talk. Like, I know I text Nick, Farling, and a bunch of other people from the mastermind just to be, stay in touch and just like stay in that groove, dude, because there's like a lot of guys that you see that you want to grow, guys and gals. But yeah, man, it's not just talking to other entrepreneurs just to talk to them. It's like you start talking to them, it's like other people you do business with. Like, my contractors struggle with the same thing that we struggle with. One of my contractors, he was telling us, he's like, "Dude," he's like, "this one guy I work for, he always wants me to wait for him to get his draw to get paid." I said, "Well, you didn't take that risk, so why are you waiting to get paid?" And we go back and forth on it, but it's funny. It's like, the people that rent from us, it's like, "Yo, dude, we rented you the house, pay us," right? Like, it's kind of the same thing. And it's just interesting to see that everyone has the same problems, and it's not really lonely out there. We just all seem to isolate ourselves and make it lonely,
Oh yeah. Well, I don't like the I'm bored thing, because like there's so much shit that needs to get done. Like, what do you mean you're bored?
Right.
Like, you could be growing so much. Like, I wish I could be bored. I talked to Steve Trang, and he was like, "Bro, I wish I could sit on my parents' couch, eat ice cream, and play video games and be bored."
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could be okay with that.
Yeah, man. And that's like, I think like when you start saying stuff like that, everyone's like, "Well, why don't you quit your W-2?" It's like, I go to the firehouse, I sit down, and I just hang out. I know I have 24 hours selfishly potentially to myself. I can answer what work emails I want or what are work emails I don't want. I probably shouldn't tell anyone this, but it's like, "Hey man, sorry I'm at my W-2. Like, I'll catch up with you tomorrow," right? Like, I get that selfish time, but I hear you, dude. Like, going home and trying to turn it off, especially nowadays with this goddamn thing, like just sitting here talking to you. I mean, how much crap I got on there right now, right? Like, just sitting here talking to you, it's like, yeah, I love to do 45 minutes with Stratton, but it's like that 45 minutes, I'm going to pay for it on the backside of this, right? Like, where can you go turn it off? I literally don't know, dude. And I wish someone could figure. Have you tried meditation? Like, I've tried meditation. I've tried all that crap. It's like my mind just races. I will say yoga, out of everything, my big ass. I do enjoy yoga because it is a freeing thing for about 45 minutes. Other than that, dude, like, I try to go on walks. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go on a walk. I'm not going to take nothing. I'm just going to be chill. Now, dude, I'm like, I need a book. I'm like, I'm supposed to be walking, man. Like, just leave me alone, So I think self-care, especially nowadays we're sitting on a computer screen. I got this damn thing going off. I got all this other paper. I think self-care right now is huge, man. Like, it's really easy, especially with the lockdowns that were going on. People really buried themselves, really self-segregated. And I think now's the time more than ever to really come together and, work on your self-care.
Float tanks have helped me, but to like turn it off, there really hasn't been anything. Right? I mean, a good reset for me, I'll go do some mushrooms. Legitimately, I'll go do mushrooms, and it's a solid reset for me, to where I feel refreshed. And then, but as far as turning it off, at a point, I'm just like, I don't really want to turn it off. Like, maybe I can turn it off for an hour, and I'll set it aside for my kid and my significant other in like an hour or two, but I don't want it off seriously. I'm 26, like we talked about this.
Yeah.
Like, to where people are like, well, how much do you need? Like, well, I'm 26, but like I have so much room to like push forward until I'm 30.
Yep.
To where I want to see what that's like, to where I feel like if I turn it off, I'm doing myself a disservice.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you hit my word. It's like, so I'm 2 years from 40. I'm like, oh, well, I get to 40, I'll just be like, I'm just going to turn it off. No, dude, we can't turn it off. First off, none of us can. We're producers. Jason and I, the guy who I host the Real Estate Reserve podcast with, we just read Atlas Shrugged on, I don't know if you heard Russell Brunson's podcast. He did a 5-part series on it. We just read that book. Dude, we're all producers, man. There's no way that me and you are going to turn it off, ever. It's just not going to happen. If we lost everything tomorrow, we would find a way. And if they're like, it's completely communist, you can't make money outside of like the government, like let's just assume worst case scenario, it's all gone, you lost everything. We would find a way to produce. We would grow food. We would go build houses for our neighbors. We would go do something, because that is what the hell we do. We're producers. I don't know what to tell anyone else, man. Like that's it. And if you understand who you are and what you are and how you're growing and what you can be, you can dominate any industry. I just happen to pick real estate because it's what works for me. I've always enjoyed Monopoly. I enjoy the game, and it's fun and it makes me tick. The guy who I host Real Estate Reserve podcast with, doing hard money loans, makes him tick. He's like, it's a cog, but it makes me tick, right? Like, and if you understand who you are and you can roll with it, you're good to go, you know? So
how have you gotten your wife to accept the fact that you will never stop? That's an issue that you see with a lot of entrepreneurs, to where there's fucking divorce, there's unhappy marriages, there's unhappy kids, and we can talk about that, to where I ran into that already. But
yeah,
how have you gotten your wife to realize that?
So luckily, me, my wife, Christine, comes from an entrepreneur family. They sell and service outdoor power equipment. She understands. Her dad would go in at 6 a.m., come home at 6 p.m. Very traditional type family. You know, they would all eat dinner together. But I think just having those moments of dedicated family time, like when I get home, I take this. If I get home at 4 o'clock, they have me till 7. If I get home at 6 o'clock, they have me till 7. They know when I get home, the phone's going in the hat, and most likely you're not going to be able to find me unless the off chance that I'm ordering something for the house or whatever else. But for the most part, that time is mine. That time is my family's, right? And I think that's where a lot of like mutual respect comes, of like, hey, listen, I'm going to go give it my all when I leave this house. And then when I get home, I'm going to give you dedicated time, right? And like doing activities, taking trips, and just doing those types of things. She's very appreciative of what we have. So I've lucked out, but I think for anyone out there is really just to dedicate time and set boundaries. And it's very hard. I'm going to keep picking this damn thing up because we all do it. It's very hard to set boundaries. Like when I'm in that car, so if I'm on the phone and I get home, I will sit in my driveway and finish that phone call before I go inside, because I don't want to walk through that threshold of that door with me on my phone carrying all my crap in the house, and the first thing the kids see me is on my damn
fucking phone.
Right? I want to finish my thought, take a deep breath, go inside, kill it like I kill at work, kill it with my family, and keep rolling, you know? So
I love that.
I think some of it's hard, man. Like that's where a lot of these guys beat up on me, because one of the first masterminds I went to, I was struggling with that. And I took some of what they taught me of like, set them boundaries, dude. You know, so that's it.
Well, I mean, I felt the Life and Air stuff helped me out a lot. But then again, what's it called? He was just like, bro, if you want to kill it, then go kill it. But like, I don't want to get a divorce. I don't want my son to grow up thinking I'm an asshole. I don't want my son to grow up thinking I don't love him. And so, like we said, it's a really, really fine line. And do you do anything special to give, like, do you do date nights with your wife? Do you do play dates with, you have a daughter, right?
Yeah, I have 2 daughters, yep.
Do you do anything special like that, individualized?
No. And I, you know, we talked about some of this, like some of it's just not my love language. Like my thing is like, I'd rather go out and do some, bring it home, right? Like, and my wife, you know, to go out on a date, you know, it's been hard this past year. It's something we talked about, and we did talk about that leading up to this, but biggest thing is just dedicated family time is really what makes it go. I do have some reservations of like carving that time out to be like, all right, Shayna, this is your 1 hour. Like me and you are going to hang out. You know, like I'd rather just come home and be like, all right, 3 hours. Like, where does the day take me? Just like the show. Me and you didn't talk about anything. I had no clue where the show is going to go, and we have gone deep. But it's like, I like to go home. You know, she wants to play the guitar, let's play the guitar. You want to sit down and watch TV? Great. You want to go outside and jump on the trampoline? I'm in. Like, whatever you want to do, girl. Like, and I think that's, you know, let things be natural rather than like try to force things. And I think that's where some people get into trouble. That's my personal opinion. But, you know, I think a lot of families are forgiving because you're out there producing for them. So your wife potentially could stay home, or she could have her own career and do what she wants to, or start her own business, whatever it may be. You know, and I think if everyone can coincide and coexist, and we talked about it, a lot with you, and Kalani was there, and we were discussing like, yo, as long as she's on board, like, let's do this, man. Go get that private jet, because I want to ride on your guys' private jet. And I would celebrate you guys, like, whether I get one or you get one, like, let's celebrate, dude. I'm in, right? And as long as you guys didn't exceed anyone's boundaries, and like, I'm down with it. Let's hear about it. But if you guys are struggling and beefing, I'd be like, yo, dude, you sure you really need a private jet, or would you rather have like your relationship? And I'm not a life and air guy at all. Like, I beef with them guys sometimes, because I'm like, you're doing a disservice to your family by turning some of this stuff off. But I also respect them for being all in on their family, you know? So this is probably coming off terrible to some people, but it was a very interesting dynamic. And me and you were on one side and they were on another. And it was weird how we all found common ground, you know? So,
well, you don't hear about the entrepreneur being a life and air dude. Like, all you hear about is fucking Grant Cardone saying, go, go, go,
Gary
go,
B.
go.
Yep.
Gary B. Like, and you don't hear, and that's why I do love the life and air stuff of them. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, you don't, Elon Musk has been divorced like 3 times, but
yeah,
he has like 6 kids with 3 different people. Like that, the emotional toll of that and that situation you're putting those children in and all that is something to be cognizant of.
Yeah, and I think there's both extremes, right? Like, and it's all where you are. It's all season of where you are, right? Like, when we're all starting, because dude, you're still young, I'm still young. We're all cutting our teeth, dude. We need Grant Cardone. We need Jordan Belfort. We need Gary Vee to tell us to go kill it. Go do whatever you got to do, because you only have this short runway. And then we need the life and air guys on the other side of it to be like, you know, the other extreme to be chirping in your ear, be like, yo, dude, like, you sure you want that? Isn't enough enough? Do you think you spend some more time with your family? Like, can you live debt free so you don't need all of these things? And then you're like, God damn, like all of it. And somewhere in the middle, you're going to culminate everything. And it's what works for you. But we all go through seasons, right? Like, I was in grind mode for a super long time. Now I'm starting to go, okay, I got enough shit on my plate. Take a deep breath. Let's work through this. All right. Take a little family time. Boom, let's go do it again, right? And we all live through cycles. Is it as clear cut as what I'm saying? Probably not. But you know, if you can understand where you are and what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish, I think you could utilize your strengths in each of these seasons.
I love it. Let's start talking a little bit about your deals, man. I didn't know you owned a 47-unit complex. Where the hell did that come from?
Oh yeah, so we own a 76-unit apartment complex.
76, sorry.
In Baltimore, and we own 44 units in West Virginia. So, again, this all comes back to momentum and just putting yourself out there. I was advertising this little book here that we wrote, and a friend of mine who's a wholesaler, he's like, "Yo, dude, I got this 76-unit apartment building." I was like, "Yeah, whatever, dude." I was like, "Just keep it for yourself." He's like, and I respect him, because he's like, "Nah, dude, not for me." I was like, "Not for you? Like, that's like everyone's dream." He's like, "No, not for me. I just want to wholesale it." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Pay me a fee of X." I think it was like 50 grand. I was like, "All right, cool." Puts us in touch, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, the seller's super like reasonable." I was like, "No way." So we start talking to her. She winds up owner financing 90% of the deal, because she wants to avoid, she wants capital gains and all that good stuff. And I was like, wow, man, like this is insane. But again, it's like just doing the right thing and like putting yourself out there. And it's like, damn, we landed on this 76-unit apartment building, and all we've ever done is single family real estate. And we're like, we know we can bridge this gap, but it was new and it was weird to us. And then we bridged that gap. We got into it. We're like, man, that was awesome. And then some other deals, like, it's like when you get into an asset class or you start putting yourself out there, deals start coming to you. You know, like people always say, like, it just happens. It literally just happened that we did this building, and the next, a few weeks later, our one buddy was like, found these apartment buildings out in West Virginia. We're like, dude, we're not going to do it. We just got involved in this one. He's like, well, here's the metrics. Let's do this. And we're like, okay. That's how we were able to grow. But it's a really nice building, northeast section of Baltimore City. Look, all Baltimore does not look like The Wire. It's where I work, but it does not all look like The Wire. Good working class neighborhood. We're doing probably about $1 million of CapEx. We're getting ready to put in 400 windows, 250 squares of roof. We're turning units, taking rents from $800 up to about $1,100, and it's worked really, really well for us. So,
did you raise cash for that? What did that look like?
We did. We raised. So she owner financed 90% of it. Yeah. We had to put down 10% plus closing costs. We're out here on the East Coast, so it's super expensive. And we raised about just shy of $1 million for that deal. And we were able to get our investors in. They get a preferred return along with some equity in the deal. And that's been a launching pad for our next few deals past that. And it's been a unique situation. But again, this goes back to like everything we were just talking about. Like, the very first event I went to, all the guys were like, well, just sell half your portfolio, get debt free and just roll out. I'm like, yeah, no, because I want that leverage of, we added the 76 unit apartment building. Guess what else we added? We added a full-time, I call her a property manager. She oversees the portfolio now, right? Like by buying that asset, I was able to add somebody in our chain to help assist us and take more stuff off of my plate to allow us to find more deals. We also were able to hire a full-time maintenance man. Again, another task that was taken off my plate by utilizing this building and getting a cash flowing asset to pay for these things. So that was really
huge. You got 2 full-time employees. So you got 2 more of you, like they're not you, but you got 2 more people and you got 8-hour days out of them, which is massive.
Yeah, man. And even if it's 6 hours, you know what though? It's 6 hours of shit that I don't have to worry about. And they're hyper focused on this one task. One person's hyper focused on maintenance, and the other one's hyper focused on leasing and collecting our rents and all that other good stuff that it's like I would spend 2 hours a day and be like, all right, what's the next task? What's the next task? Right? Like, and that's where I differ with some of those guys. I'm like, yo, dude, like I want to get to scale, right? And I think you know this now, is that like getting to scale allows you to grow more. And again, it goes back to your machine. You start feeding that machine the right stuff. We're not just feeding our machine to feed it. We're feeding it because we want to. And when we feed that thing, it's producing us something. And that's the advantage. And I think that's where those guys are saying, do you always need to grow? And we're saying, yeah, we need to grow. We need to grow. We need to grow. And boom, right there in the middle of the two is like, I want to grow and I need to grow. Meet, and you're like, okay, I get this by doing this. And that's the cool part. And that's where me and you could live of like, let's listen to both sides and we'll make what works for us work, you know?
That is the happy medium.
Yeah, man.
Where do you think your drive come from? Like, do you take shit personally? Like for me, I have a lot of shit that people have said to me that like I still think about all the time. Like, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Me and you were trading past history stories, and I was like, God damn it, you beat me. No, it's not a competition, but dude, a lot of that shit comes from the past. Family dynamic growing up. I don't think I would be as successful as I am if I find my family dynamic was better. Like I come from a little bit of turmoil, and I think that's what motivates me, because I'm like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. And I heard I think I sent that to you the other day when it was Andy Frisella and Ed Milet.
Great podcast.
Yeah, and they were like, I sent it to Farling too, and I was like, dude, this one really resonates with me, because they're like, it's your past is all relative, and they talk about like people who have bad past, right? That's obvious how we all blossom out of that, right? But you might look at my past and be like, dude, you had it easy. I was like, yeah, but it's my past and I own it. And they talk about Donald Trump, and they're like, look at that dude. He came from something, and he made it even that much better. And he thought that his past wasn't good enough, and he always wants to grow past that. And I thought that was like really powerful, man, because it's like, how many people you're like, oh, you had it so easy growing up, you landed in money. No, but like they might mentally couldn't cope with that, and they wanted to grow even more than what they are. You come from a bad past. And I think all of our experiences force us to grow and help us grow and make us all want to grow. And if you can utilize whatever's in your past or whatever motivates you, for me personally, it's where I came from, where I don't want to go back to. Dude, when I got involved in real estate, I think most young male adults are like, credit cards, let's have a party, paying bills, potentially optional, and then, other family stuff. But just for me, dude, I don't want to go back. I want to keep growing. I want to provide something that I didn't have growing up, and that's really, really what motivates me.
I love that. And let's talk about your storage facilities.
Yeah, man.
What's it valued at right now? All of them together? If you care sharing.
Yeah, I mean, as is existing, probably about 10. So
okay,
that's where it sits, and it could grow exponentially bigger than that.
Let's show people, like, I love what you did with the niche. So why Little Rock? And that's where most of your facilities are. And then how you've taken that place and scaled up in one area that has made everything else affordable.
Yeah, it's all real estate, right? Like, especially you seeing the call center stuff that, like, people can be all over this country versus being hyper focused on a niche. What works for us in the storage world also works for us in the single family and the multifamily world. If you haven't noticed, all of my single family and most of my multifamily portfolio is here in Baltimore, and my multifamily units that are just outside of here are only an hour away, right? Like, and if you start to hyper focus on certain niches in certain areas, you become the market expert. So you call me up, you're like, yo, Little Rock, got this deal. Louisiana, yo, I got this deal. Okay, boom, I'm in. Like, I don't even have to think about it because I already know the market expectation. I know if you call me with a single family house here in Baltimore, you give me an address, I can give you an answer in probably 10 minutes or less. I might have to Google map it. I know my answer. I know if you call me for something in Louisiana, a storage facility, okay, what market it is, I got a really good idea, or Little Rock, or whatever it may be. It's like, I know exactly what I want. I know I can stick it into my cog and I can make it into my machine and make it grow. And I can offset some expenses. I can be the industry expert in that area. And then people start calling you. People are like, hey man, I got this deal, like the 76 unit apartment building. Hey man, I know about this apartment building. I know, like, you got a bunch of single family stuff. You interested? And people start bringing you stuff as you become the market expert in that area. And I think that's a massive advantage. And especially, nowadays people can wholesale virtually nationwide. Can you really understand every market in all 50 states? I don't think so. I think you can analyze numbers, but I don't think you have intimate knowledge of what's going on. And that's why single family real estate for us, when we first started, worked really well. We were in Baltimore. We knew where the fires were happening at work. We knew what areas to go to or not go to, what firehouses were getting busy or not busy. Like, we had this super intimate knowledge of our marketplace, and it allowed us to make decisions on properties that others weren't able to make. I know you were talking about the storage stuff, but
no, that was awesome.
Yeah, that resonates really easy. So,
how much does your podcast help build that personal brand in your area?
Huge. I mean, for us, so like, I do it with a hard money lender locally, Jason Balin. He has, we usually interview most local people. We do some national guys, like we're going to have you on one day. But dude, just becoming like the market expert and bringing on talented people, and bringing on real people, it makes you, it helps you market yourself, right? Like, us talking, someone's gonna be like, yo, dude, I didn't know you knew about storage, right? Like, someone's gonna call you out of this, or someone's gonna be like, hey man, you know that guy? Like, I have an apartment building in Baltimore. Can you like set this up? And you're gonna insert yourself into a deal potentially, and you're gonna have an additional opportunity that you don't normally have. And I think having that podcast gives me two things. If you haven't noticed earlier in the podcast, I talked about I needed a place to go talk shit. It allows me to talk shit in a positive light. And number two, it gives you credibility. It gives you massive credibility.
Massive.
Getting on there every day and talking about something that you love, right? And if it's not real estate and you want to get on here, I wouldn't be surprised if Stratton got on here and was like, I want to talk about football. And you would all respect him for it because he loves it so much and has an intimate knowledge of it. We would all respect him for his opinion on that as well, so.
That's dope. So you have what? It's worth 10. You have 6. Is it 6 facilities in Little Rock? How close is that to Louisiana? Isn't it like here?
Yeah, they kind of touch, but the stuff in Louisiana is in southern Louisiana. So that was a one-off deal. So
why Little Rock?
It's just where the deal was. Pure accident. Took a shot. That high D personality really came into an advantage right there. I was like, fuck it. It works. Let's do it, And sometimes being ignorant is, what is it saying? Ignorant is bliss, right? Like, it was the same thing. It's any aspect of real estate, right? Like, getting involved on that or getting involved on my first house. Like, dude, I bought a house in, like, people call a marginal neighborhood, but I was willing to take the risk because it was the first firehouse that I worked at. So I understood the neighborhood. I understood what I could do. And that high D personality helped out. And a lot of people, there is no why other than it was a deal that was the best deal presented to me at the time. It worked. Boom. There was all these other opportunities there, in both locations, right? And how many people do you see not probably how many people you interview, but I'm sure you see a lot of people analysis by paralysis. It's like, well,
Oh, bro.
maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking, well, what about this or what about that? The end of the world's coming. I don't know who the next who cares, dude? You'll figure it out. I promise you. You're going to do the best deal that is in front of you at this exact moment in time. Is it the best deal that you're ever going to have? No, but if you don't swing at the ball, you're never going to hit a home run, right?
That's why Kalani signed up for like the actual mentorship.
Yeah.
Right. It will just give you confidence, and it's less of an excuse of paralysis by analysis of being scared. So
Yeah.
they just have a third set of eyes. Like, hey, yeah, no, that looks good. All right, pull the trigger. Just go. Fuck it.
Yeah. No, and I think,
back on.
yeah, and she'll have a good base to work through and be like, okay, well, I can jump on this, I can do this, or I can do that, or I know this person's going to buy this because this is the metrics that work inside the group. And I think a lot of people, I haven't spent a lot of money on mentorships or anything. This industry is probably the most I've ever spent just because I was so nervous. And I think some of that nervousness comes from everything that we've built. But with that being said, if you are someone that potentially needs a little bit of hand holding, it's the best thing in the world that you could do. You know, you have a network behind you to go do this, right? We tried helping people, coaching. It wasn't really our thing. I'm more interested in doing deals. But if you find a really good coach or a really good mentor or a really good group, you can really advance yourself. And again, you might not have all the answers, but if that deep personality type is somewhere inside of you, you can take that little bit of step and get to that next level, and you can put yourself into deals that you normally wouldn't do. So
I love that, bro. You've been throwing out fire the whole time.
Dude, I'm just trying to dodge you, man. You keep throwing shit at me. I'm like, all right, let's go. So yeah, I'm a firefighter. Let's do this. So no, man, dude, it's just, and look, I know from that one event, if you don't ever go to another one, I never went to another one. I know I got a guy who has a call center. If I ran across someone here in Baltimore, like, yo, look, I'm trying to set up a call center operation. Yo, dude, call Stratton, best guy I ever met. Like, I wouldn't even think twice about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole thing. And that's where I think coronavirus, I'm not going to go off on my little tangent because I have a lot of opinions on it, but that's where coronavirus killed a lot of people, dude. That intimacy
of that.
Yeah, man. Shaking hands, talking shit, doing whatever, drinking beers. I mean, you were doing 75 hard for half the challenge. It's like, who's this guy? West Coaster doesn't drink. Look at him. And by the end of it, but you know what I mean? Like, seriously, at the end of it is like, man, we all left there with some sort of relationship amongst everyone that was there. And we all have an opportunity somewhere in this country to say, I found this deal, or I know this person does X, and it'll help you grow. And that's what I hate about the coronavirus, is that it shut a lot of that stuff down. I know people had to be safe. That's your opinion. And hopefully we get back to doing more of that type of stuff. And I look forward to that. So
the in-person stuff is amazing. Where can more people find out about you, bro?
The best bet is I'm on Facebook, Ian Horowitz. If anyone wants to check out our book, you can check out landlordinglife.com. It's free. Just pay for the shipping. It's all about subsidized housing, how we got started, and it can help you anywhere. And that's it, man. We're out there. You'll see us. I always broadcast. We try to broadcast once a week on our podcast, and we're going to have Stratton on here soon, so I'm sure you'll see us. So,
what's the name of your podcast again, bro?
It's Real Estate Reserve Podcast.
Awesome. So, thank you so much for coming on, man. This has been awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great day.